gray sky, hello blue. There's nothing can hold me when I hold you. It feels so right, it can't be wrong. Rocking and rolling all week long. Sunday, Monday, happy days. Tuesday, Wednesday, happy days. Thursday, Friday, happy days. Saturday, what a day. Grooving all week with you. These days are ours. Share them with me. These days are ours. Happy and free. These happy days are yours and mine. These happy days are yours and mine. Happy days.
Dr. David Banner, physician, scientist, searching for a way to tap into the hidden strengths that all humans have. Then an accidental overdose of gamma radiation alters his body chemistry. And now when David Banner grows angry or outraged, a startling metamorphosis occurs.
Well, we're moving on up to the east side, to a deluxe apartment in the sky. We're moving on up to the east side. We finally got a piece of the pie. Fish don't fry in the kitchen, beans don't burn on the grill. Took a whole lot of trying just to get up that hill. Now we're up in the big leagues, getting our turn at bat. As long as we live, it's you and me, baby. There ain't nothing wrong with that. We're moving on up to the east side, to a deluxe apartment in the sky. We're moving on up to the east side. We finally got a piece of the pie.
As quickly as you can, snatch the pebble from my hand. When you can take the pebble from my hand, it will be time for you to leave. Time for you to leave.
Marshall, Will, and Holly on a routine expedition met the greatest earthquake ever known. High on the rapids, it struck their tiny raft and plunged them down 1,000 feet below to the land of the lost.
Get out of here! Come on! Come on! Will! Come on, Holly, let's go!
To the land of the lost. To the land of the lost.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, Schlemiel, Schlemazel, Haas Incorporated.
We're gonna do it. Give us any chance, we'll take it. Read us any rule, we'll break it. We're gonna make our dreams come true. Doing it our way. Nothing's gonna turn us back now. Straight ahead and on the track now. We're gonna make our dreams come true. Doing it our way. There's nothing we won't try. Never heard the word impossible this time. There's no stopping us. We're gonna do it. On your mark, get set, and go now. Got a dream and we just know now. We're gonna make that dream come true. And we'll do it our way, yes, our way. Make all our dreams come true. And we'll do it our way, yes, our way. Make all our dreams come true. For me and you.
Love, exciting and new. Come aboard. We're expecting you. And love, life's sweetest reward. Let it flow. It floats back to you. Love boat. Soon we'll be making another run. The love boat promises something for everyone. Set a course for adventure, your mind on a new romance. And love won't hurt anymore. It's an open smile on a friendly shore.
can turn the world on with her smile.
Good morning. It is 9 o'clock. Broadcasting from Foothill College, this is KFJC Los Altos Hills. And yes, it is time yet again for another edition of the Norman Bates Memorial Soundtrack Show. That's correct. For the next 3 hours, you'll be hearing soundtrack, show tunes, television themes, all the music you've gradually grown to trust over the course of several generations. And later this morning, we'll be visited by the directors of a brand new documentary called Amazing Live Sea Monkeys. Sounds great. So sit back, relax, and enjoy some of the best music you ever saw.
To the Bottom of the Sea, starring Richard Basehart, David Hedison, Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea, brought to you by
Groovy beat, huh?
Hey, little goldfish, where you going to? Little goldfish, let me swim along with you. Pretty goldfish, we could have a whale of a time. Put your fin in mine. The tide is in and it's getting dark out. There might be a shark out. Ooh. But don't worry, I'll hold you tight. The starfish will shine so bright, and everything will be alright. Little goldfish, where you going to? Little goldfish, let me swim along with you. Pretty goldfish, we could have a whale of a time. Put your fin in mine. Let me swim along with you. Pretty goldfish, we could have a whale of a time. Put your fin in mine.
From a weird 60s comedy movie called Hello Down There. That was Hey Little Goldfish. And what's interesting is that the lead guitar and vocalist of the teenage group that is singing this is played by Richard Dreyfuss, although I doubt that he was singing or playing the guitar. This is 89.7 KFJC and the Norman Bates Memorial Soundtrack Show. I'm your host, Robert Emmett. Hello Down There is a comedy where Tony Randall and Janet Leigh are a couple. Tony has invented a self-sustaining house 90 feet below the surface of the ocean, and complications ensue. We started off this morning with the television theme to Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea. And in between, we heard One Barrel Chase from Jaws, which Richard Dreyfuss was also in. So KFJC, this is May 30th, so we're right here near the end of the month. And so squeezing in a couple of more specials. Tonight on the Soul Patrol, starting at midnight, it's Beyond Ghostbusters, the incredible career of Ray Parker Jr. So Ray Parker Jr. was a Detroit guitarist who started touring with the Spinners when he was 13 years old. And he's been a go-to funk guitarist ever since. He's played with Dizzy Gillespie for jazz. He's played with Aretha Franklin for R&B. He's played with B.B. King for blues. And even pop with the Carpenters. So Lucky J tonight on the Soul Patrol from midnight till 3 will do a mayhem special to explore the career of Ray Parker Jr., guitarist, singer, songwriter, music producer, and pop hit star with the Ghostbusters. So that's tonight, midnight to 3 a.m., only on your source for sound, KFJC. Well, belated birthday to Danny Elfman, and here's some music from Pee-wee's Big Adventure on your source for sound, KFJC.
What's the word in the street, Johnny?
I don't know. I hear a lot of things. Pick a topic.
You have to let it all go, Neo. Fear, doubt, and disbelief. Free your mind.
You know just the words that turn me on. And I know what you want too, and you're gonna get it.
Talking to her. Standing around talking. I saw you through the window. City cop.
Where emotion is involved, evidence is not required. Only the right word in the right ear at the right time.
Do you hear me? Do you care? Do you hear me? Do you care? What are words for? When no one listens anymore. Words for? When no one listens, what are words for? When no one listens, there's no use talking at all.
Sir, you try my patience. I don't mind if I do. You must come over and try mine sometime.
Say the word and you'll be free. Say the word and be like me. Say the word I'm thinking of. Have you heard the word is love? It's so fine, it's so shine. It's the word love.
I have a head for business and a bod for sin.
Sometimes I wonder about you.
Word was passed around that it was the new thing to do, the smart thing to do if you wanted to keep up with the crowd.
City cop.
If I didn't know better, I'd think some form of morality was accidentally programmed into you.
There's enough of me for everyone.
Sometimes I wonder about you.
Oh, you gorgeous, tantalizing creation.
My wife sometimes forgets she is not a space alien.
There's so much static electricity in this room, I pick up everything with boys and money.
Are you suggesting that my failure is due to a lack of ability?
But darling, a girl can't make a success on instincts alone. To understand a man takes a lifetime of study.
If you keep distracting me, I'll never change the course of mankind.
If what I think is happening, it better not be.
Baby, you always stop on the punchline.
Do you want to play house or don't you?
Music right there by Patrick Doyle, and that was from a movie called Dead Again. It was Headlines. This is CD9.7 KFJC and the Norman Bates Memorial Soundtrack Show. We also heard a drawn-out drama and started off with the finale from Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Well, book lovers will be really excited because this weekend it's the 12th annual Book Fest in Berkeley. 120 programs at 21 different stages. It's today and tomorrow from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. Today it's mostly at the Berkeley Public Library. And then tomorrow it's a bookworm block party at the Martin Luther King Jr. Civic Park in Berkeley and then along Alton Street. So there'll be 150 exhibitors there tomorrow from 11 to 5. So there's writers, there's workshops, there's a chill zone, lots of things for people who are interested in writers and books. So the 12th Annual Book Fest, today and tomorrow, 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. in Berkeley. You can go to baybookfest.org. That's baybookfest.org. Well, a weird movie about cruise ships that had Walter Matthau and Jack Lemmon in it called Out to Sea. And the one of the cruise employees was Brent Spiner, who got to sing several songs during the movie. So from Out to Sea, here's Brent Spiner singing Cheek to Cheek. KFJC, your source for sound.
I'm in heaven, and my heart beats so that I can hardly speak, and I seem to find the happiness I seek when we're out together dancing cheek to cheek.
Ready, Rock?
Sure you know how to work that thing?
No. Anyways, here's what it was supposed to look like.
I say there are things better left unsolved.
Who knows what waits for us in nature's no man's land?
Impossible, unbelievable, fantastic. But I tell you, it could happen. It could happen. could happen. It could happen. Yes, it could happen. For various authorities believe that buried somewhere under the polar ice cap, in a state of suspended animation, are the awesome creatures, the leviathans that roamed the earth at the dawn of time. And under certain conditions, a nuclear explosion could free one from his icy tomb. Then, guided by instinct, the beast would come back to the caverns of the deepest Atlantic where it was spawned. An armored giant, wreaking his prehistoric fury on modern man and his puny machines. Cities would be terrorized by the cruel intruder from the past. Populations crazed and panicked with fear by its destructive force. Granite and steel would crumble. Soldiers and their weapons would be powerless before the onslaught of the beast. The beast. The beast. The beast from 20,000 fathoms.
Herald Square, 34th Street, Broadway. Every section of the city is guarded. No one knows where the monster will strike next.
Another one, Colonel?
No.
You know what the radioactive isotope is?
No, but if it can be loaded, I can fire it.
I'll load it. Just remember one thing. This is the only isotope of its kind this side of Oak Ridge, so you can't miss.
She likes people, people like her, and people who like people like Dial.
Dial soap never lets perspiration odor come between friends. Ordinary soap leaves thousands of bacteria on your skin, sort of like this, and these cause perspiration odor. Dial with AT7 removes most of them, not just from underarms, but all over. Dial protects you long after your daily bath. Never lets perspiration odor come between friends.
Ooh, and people who like people like Dial.
Aren't you glad you use Dial? Don't you wish everybody did?
Music right there by Lee Holdridge, and that was from Splash. Of course, that's the Tom Hanks, Daryl Hannah movie about the mermaid, right? This is 89.7 KFJC and the Norman Bates Memorial Soundtrack Show. I'm your host, Robert Emmett. A little later this morning, we'll be talking to two of the directors who have a documentary called The Amazing Live Sea Monkeys that's playing at the San Francisco Doc Fest tomorrow at the Vogue. And so we're getting a little nautical theme in the music this morning, right? We also heard David Shire doing the opening to Return to Oz. Bernard Herrmann from Mysterious Island, Captain Nemo and the Grotto. People who like people like Dial. Kronos Unveiled from The Incredibles. The trailer from The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms. And started off with Brent Spiner singing Chic to Chic from a weird comedy called Out to Sea. Well, Mayhem continues tomorrow from noon until 3 o'clock. David James is going to be doing a special on Paul Bley, the innovative jazz pianist and composer. So that's tomorrow from noon until 3. Paul Bley. Listen and obey. Well, speaking of mermaids, Guinness Johns played a mermaid in two of her early movies, Miranda and Mad About Men. And so we're going to hear the music, but here's a little piece of movie history for you. So these were both produced in England and produced by Betty Box. Betty Box was a pioneer producer for movies in England and brought all sorts of comedies and real interesting films. And so it was really kind of groundbreaking to have a woman in the 50s being a very active and dynamic producer. So look up Betty Box and find out more about her. But right now, let's listen to a double mermaid with Guinness Johns in it. First, Miranda, and then Mad About Men. And your source for mermaids, KFJC.
It's only Miranda for me. I never would catch a better love match. It's only Miranda for me. Though it may seem to you she's too good to be true, but on weighing the scale, she's no fisherman's tale. Just give her a look, and you're on the hook, and you'll never want to be free. I know, 'cause Miranda got me. Miranda, Miranda, for me.
Music right there from Aquaman. That was the Kingdom of Atlantis. Okay, Harry Gregson Williams did the music there. This is 89.7 KFJC and the Norman Bates Memorial Soundtrack Show. So we started off with Miranda, and Miranda Guinness Johns plays a mermaid who falls in love. And then in Mad About Men, Guinness Johns is back as a mermaid, but finds an identical twin that has legs. And they decide to switch positions so that Miranda can walk, or, well, she ends up staying in a wheelchair, but she can at least move among the two-footed people and fall in love. And so those were both made in the late 50s. And of course, then we had Atlantis. So that brings us up to where we are, which is that, hey, you know, something is having its first year inaugural presentation tomorrow. It's the San Jose Ballet Association is having their first dance festival, and it's at 1 o'clock tomorrow at the Mountain View Center for the Performing Arts, of course, of all places, Mountain View. And the title of this dance recital is called Groundbreaking. And it's called Groundbreaking in one way because they're breaking the ground. This is their first inaugural dance, and there's no charge to attend. Kind of first come, first serve kind of thing. But if you're interested in seeing some groundbreaking dance, tomorrow at 1 o'clock at the Mountain View Center for the Performing Arts, the San Jose Ballet Association. And you can find out more by going to sanjoseballet.association.org. sanjoseballet.association.org. Well, what was I going to play? I was going to play something. Well, keeping with our theme of talking to directors about the amazing live sea monkeys, it'll be a little later this morning. Let's play an Elvis tune, shall we? At your source for sound, KFJC.
I saw 3 shrimp in the water, 2 were old and gray. I swam a little bit closer and I heard the 3rd one say, goodbye, Mama Shrimp, Papa shake my hand. Here come the shrimp boat for to take me to Louisiana. Here comes the shrimp boat for to take me to Louisiana. He showed his mama and papa shrimp newspaper he read, an invitation to all the shrimp, and this is what it said. Free ride, New Orleans, stay in Grand Hotel. Meet Creole gal who help you come out of your shell. Meet Creole gal who help you come out of your shell. If I should live to be 90, I will never forget the little shrimp and the song he sang as he jumped into the net. Goodbye, Mama Shrimp, Papa shake my hand. Here come the shrimp boat for to take me to Louisiana. Here come the shrimp boat for to take me to Louisiana. shrimp boat for to take me to Louisiana. Here come the shrimp boat for to take me to Louisiana. Here come the shrimp boat for to take
Alex North music from the Misfits. Broadcasting from Foothill College, this is KFJC, Los Altos Hills, the Norman Bates Memorial Soundtrack Show, and Bob and Ray.
Time now for Sea Search, the stirring adventures of freelance skin diver Lloyd Bricker and his diving partner Lance Spears. Today's episode, titled Perforated Eardrums, takes place near their home base, Catalina Island.
Well, let's hustle aboard the skiff, Lance. We've got 3 other jobs just like this today in different parts of the harbor.
Yeah, there's been a rash of these things lately. It seems like the only kind of assignment we get.
You think a guy who spends $500 to $600 for a new outboard motor would learn how to fasten it on his boat properly?
Yeah, you'd think so. They no sooner get away from the pier than the thing shakes off, sinks to the bottom, and we got to fish for it.
Now, where did the guy say that first one fell off?
Well, he didn't say exactly, Lloyd. Just out near the middle somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Middle of what? The harbor, the bay, the ocean, or what?
I think he said the bay. Said he marked the spot by pouring some oil on the water, like in the submarine pictures.
Well, that'll be a big help. This bay is full of oil slicks, and with the current, it's probably moved some.
We're near the middle. Why don't we try around here? You never know.
Okay, good luck, fella, and... You see a shark down there, belt him on the snout with a heavy, blunt object.
Well, it's not my turn. I found the last 5 of these things, and you never even got your toes wet.
Well, never mind the arguing. We've got a busy day ahead, Lance.
Oh, boy, I knew you were going to pull this the minute you showed up on board in your business suit.
This suit helps me make a good impression when I look for freelance diving assignments.
Well, it hasn't helped because I land most of the jobs wearing a T-shirt. How can you expect to get diving work hanging around the track? You got to cover the waterfront.
Look, I cover the waterfront, but that's beside the point. You know, I can't dive in water deeper than 12 feet. The pressure against my perforated eardrums could give me a permanently waterlogged brain, the doctor said.
Oh, you've had that for a long time. If you were a real guy, you'd buy a pair of earplugs. Maybe you're afraid you'd have to dive.
Now, that's not true. You know I've tried to buy them, but they never have them for my size ears.
A pair of sink stoppers would do the job, but you're too particular.
All right, get off my back, will you, buddy? Look, I'll dive on the next job. Now, you know my word is good.
As good as an empty aqualung. Hey, that reminds me, did you remember to put air in the lungs today?
Gee, no, I thought you were going to do it. Boy, is this caper turning into a fiasco. If you were any kind of a guy, you'd dive holding your breath.
You know that if I hold my breath, I get heartburn. That's just like swimming after a big meal.
Yeah. Well, look, I say if a guy's stupid enough to drop his outboard motor in the drink, it's his tough luck.
That's what I say. Let's split. Tune in next time for another exciting sea search story entitled Cockles, Mussels, Alive, Alive-O, when you'll hear Lloyd Bricker say...
Now, listen, Lance. I only said my word is good, not great.
On Sea Search, an El Guco production.
We call him Flipper, Flipper. You'll see him smiling right from the start. He'll play it smart. Beware of Flipper, Flipper. He's such a lover. You will discover when he steals your heart. Such a lover, you will discover when he steals your heart.
Lost in Space Chickadees will return next week at its regular time over most of these stations.
Over most of these stations.
I said that.
He said that.
Prokofiev from Alexander Nevsky, The Dance of the Nights. This is 89.7 KFJC and the Norman Bates Memorial Soundtrack Show. That one season of the television show Flipper had that sort of Vegas-style television theme. It was kind of weird. Bob and Ray did Sea Search, and that brings us up to where we are, which is right here, right now, to tell you that coming at the end of June, so it's several weeks away, but it's the KFJC Record Swap. That's right, it's time for another KFJC Record Swap. It'll be right here, Ground Zero, Foothill College campus, in the campus dining hall. And there'll be vinyl, compact discs, posters, cassettes, music memorabilia, KFJC DJs, and so much more. So a $5 donation at the door benefits KFJC. It's all ages, obviously. And that's Sunday, June 28th from 9 a.m. until 3 p.m. The KFJC Record Swap. Go to kfjc.org for more information. Let's play some music from The Creature from the Black Lagoon. KFJC is your source for sound.
The mind of man had thought of everything, except that which was beyond his comprehension.
The Bikini and the Beat.
You just said the magic word.
Clam bake?
Yeah.
Clam bake, don't have clam bake. It's Elvis cooking up a storm of entertainment in Clam Bake. Elvis throws the wildest beach party since they invented the bikini and the beat.
You know something, Paul? I would have traded everything you've ever given me for one thing. For trusting me.
I always trusted you. Just trying to make things easy is all.
That's just it, Paul. I don't want things easy. I want to be able to make my own mistakes and work them out.
He had confidence, a little thing called confidence. There's no job too immense when you've got confidence.
I hope you know how to take care of yourself. I call karate.
Oh, shut up.
Elvis Go-Go's on water.
I won't be missed.
Go-Go's wild with bikes.
Things in life are free. Who needs money? Not me. Get a rhythm going nice.
Go-Go's with beachnicks and bikinis.
Use a little elbow grease.
The Orange Bowl Regatta has a purse of $10,000. You win it, we'll split it 50-50.
It's Elvis barreling and belting out that wild Presley beat.
Give it that special touch. Oh, I want her, and I need her. Yes, you really have everything but love.
It's a bikini bake. It's a song bake. It's a fun bake. It's Elvis in clam bake.
You know, that must have been really kind of humiliating in a way. I mean, think about Elvis, who, you know, was like the rock and roll bad boy, and then in the 60s he was making all these movies like Clambake. It's 89.7 KFJC and the Norman Bates Memorial Soundtrack Show. We also heard It Came From Beneath the Sea. The Creature from the Black Lagoon started us off. And it is time for this week's Cool Secret Place. Each week, KFJC tells you about a place that makes where we live so fun, so interesting, so unique. Because, you know, you can go anywhere in the world and buy the same cup of coffee, the same burger to eat, the same bag to buy. But there are people, places, and things that are right here, right in our own backyard, that you won't find anywhere else. And a big thanks to Betsy for this week's Cool Secret Place. It's the Marine Mammal Center in Sausalito. So Betsy writes, the Marine Mammal Center in Sausalito is the largest marine mammal hospital in the world. They rescue marine mammals in distress, they rehabilitate them, and then release them. Visiting the center gives you a close-up view of the facilities and the care they provide. There's a self-guided tour as well as tours behind the scenes. All visits require an advance reservation, and it's a gorgeous location. We went yesterday and got to watch the young rescued sea lion being taught how to feed from a tube-fed frozen herring smoothie that was made on site at their kitchen, and working their way up to the next step of being fed chunks of herring. Now, they have 1,400 dedicated volunteers, and it's really heartwarming experience to see so many people come together for such a good cause. Highly recommended. Thank you, Betsy. So the Marine Mammal Center is a private nonprofit that rescues, rehabilitates, and releases marine mammals. Marine mammals are whales, porpoises, dolphins, seals, manatees, sea lions, and otters. Now, the only non-marine mammal the center treats are sea turtles, which, of course, we know are reptiles. The center also researches and publishes scientific reports with information about diseases and environmental conditions. Did you know that seals can get cancer and that it can be sexually transmitted to other seals? and that the algae bloom, sometimes referred to as red tide, accumulates in small fishes and eaten by marine mammals can cause brain damage and seizures. The scientific research and innovative medical techniques they have developed contribute to the global knowledge about marine mammal health. Since the center began in 1975, they have rescued over 24,000 marine mammals, mostly seals. The center is equipped to handle up to 275 animals in the hospital, though they usually don't have that many at any one time. Now, ocean trash also impacts marine mammals, with the patients at the center being entangled in fishing nets or other bits of trash. Marine mammals are intelligent and curious and often see ocean trash as something to eat or investigate. And, of course, these creatures need to be rescued and detangled. While most marine wildlife lives in the open ocean, they come to shore when they're sick or injured, and so usually a member of the public alerts the center. They come and rescue the animals, sometimes with the help of the local fire department. The patient is then treated with the ultimate goal to release them back into the ocean. Now, similar to a human hospital, the center provides state-of-the-art medical care and many surgical techniques and anesthesia protocols developed at the center that are used around the world for similar species. Now, while you can take a self-guided tour and tour behind the scenes, the center does try to limit human interaction to reduce the stress so that the animals remain as wild as possible. They have developed techniques designed for specific species when rehabilitating them. And one is of the sea is since the seals sometimes flip over rocks, so a patient will be rehabilitated by interacting with feed boxes that they have to flip open. Now, the center has programs designed for high school and middle school, as well as a lot of online learning resources. If you're interested in learning more about whales in the San Francisco Bay, you can go to their website. The Marine Mammal Center has a number of volunteers up and down the coast: Sonoma, Mendocino, Santa Cruz, Monterey, and San Luis Obispo. There are even some in Hawaii. These volunteers help with responding to reported distressed animals. They provide local outreach and education on the beach during rescues. Now, the Marine Mammal Center is located in the Marin Headlands in what was once Fort Cronkite, which was an Army base that provided coastal artillery defenses for the Bay Area during World War II. And then a Nike missile base was created nearby for missile defense in the Cold War. And no, it wasn't named after the famed CBS correspondent Walter Cronkite. Fort Cronkite was named after an Army general who served in the Spanish-American War in World War I, although he was never stationed in California. He probably got this artillery battery base named after him because he published in 1893 Gunnery for Non-Commissioned Officers, a book on how to master the use of cannons in combat. And yes, the Nike missile base is another cool secret base. The entire area is part of the National Park Service. The Nike missile site is open the first Saturdays from 12:30 to 3:30 p.m., and next Saturday is the first Saturday. And as Betsy said, although the Marine Mammal Center is open to the public, you must reserve a spot online in advance. Their hours are Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and Monday, from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. So you won't notice when you reserve your spot, you have to pick either 10 a.m. or 1 p.m. So their website is marinemammalcenter.org. marinemammalcenter.org. And you can go online and you can see the current batch of patients, as well as more about the ocean and the animals in the sea. The Marine Mammal Center is located at 2000 Bunker Road, Fort Cronkite, Sausalito, California. And Fridays through Mondays, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., advanced reservations required. And that's this week's Cool Secret Place. Do you have a cool secret place? You know, we're always encouraging everyone to get out and explore your neighborhood, where you work, where you play, where you visit, and discover interesting and unique places. And then to share those with your friends, your family, and anyone else. If you would like to share a cool secret place as Betsy did with us and our listeners, you can write an email to me, robert@kfjc.org. robert@kfjc.org. That's my email address. Remember to use Cool Secret Place or KFJC Listener when you write to me in the subject line so you don't get thrown out with the spam. There's also a Facebook group page for the Norman Bates Memorial Soundtrack Show. You can put your Cool Secret Place there. Cool Secret Places are really amazing and show the incredible resources that we have right here in our own backyard. So get out, explore, discover, and share. Well, so coming up, I do have to set up a little bit for the television mystery theme of the week. So let's play this. Let's play Around the World Under the Sea, the opening to that, on your source for sound, KFJC. Around the World Under the Sea. Well, it is 10:30, or a reasonable facsimile thereof, so it's time to play the game we all know and love so well. That's right. It's time for the KFJC Television Mystery Theme of the Week. Each week, we call on you to call on us at 650-941-2500 and identify a good, bad, or flat-out ugly television theme. Something you've heard about, something you've only ever heard here. Well, this week's television series was on from 1958 to 1961. The star of the show was in Airplane, Rocket Ship XM, High Noon, The Limping Man, Around the World Under the Sea, The Fifth Musketeer, Joe versus the Volcano, Hot Shots, and The Rainmaker. So if you recognize this week's KFJC Television Mystery Theme of the Week, 650-941-2500 is the number. Put on your thinking caps, clean the wax out of your ears, program your speed dial or your personal electronic assistant, and let's see if you listen to what you watch on your source for sound, KFJC. Music right there by Michael Giacchino from Tomorrowland. This is 89.7 KFJC and the Norman Bates Memorial Soundtrack Show. I'm your host, Robert Emmett. And what was this week's KFJC Television Mystery Theme of the Week? This week's KFJC Television Mystery Theme of the Week was the theme to Sea Hunt. Sea Hunt was on from 1958 to 1961 and starred Lloyd Bridges. Lloyd Bridges was in Airplane, Rocket Ship XM, High Noon, The Limping Man, Around the World Under the Sea, The Fifth Musketeer, Joe versus the Volcano, Hot Shots, and The Rainmaker. Sea Hunt, this week's KFJC Television Mystery Theme of the Week. Who correctly identified that? We had Zulu and Campbell, Ken and Jerry in Willow Glen, Cindy and Mark in Sunnyvale, Judy in Waynesville, David and Laura in Redmond, Washington, Bruce and Cynthia in San Jose, Ray in Sacramento, Bill in Portland, Claire and Dave in Santa Clara, Mary Lee and Art in Rogue River, Morticia and Sir Francis in Fremont, Clint and Mona in San Jose, Greg in Menlo Park, Victor in Alliance, Ohio, Sci-Fi Bob in the East Bay, Steve in Willow Glen, Maryland in the East Bay, David and Akomi in San Mateo, Bob in Redwood City, Drew and Cindy from Hayward, Liz in San Jose, Sylvia and Tom on the Big Red Boat, Lindsay and Brian in San Jose, Scott in Sacramento, Jeff and Cheryl in Seattle, Chuck in Los Gatos, Doug in Elks Grove, Dan and Denise in Belleville, Bill in Niles, Pam and Andy in Mountain View, Tim in Oregon, Art in Sacramento, Dana and Debbie in San Jose, Terry in Bakersfield, Ross in Tiburon, Warden Thomas from the Borrega Springs Correctional Facility, Jeff in Mountain View, Rex in San Ramon, Steve in Saratoga, and KFJC's own Carson Street, Circumference, and Sam Yorko. All correctly identified this week's KFJC Television Mystery Theme of the Week. So if you could do so safely and correctly, give them a hearty handshake, a big bear hug, or a pat on the back. Because amongst their peers and contemporaries, they listen to what they watch. Always important to listen to what you watch because, well, you never know. Somewhere, sometime, when you least expect it, somebody may nudge you in the ribs and ask, where did that come from? And you'll know. Well, speaking of Circumference, his new trainee announcer's name is making her KFJC debut with a Mayhem special spotlighting women covering songs originally performed by men. So the mix pulls from punk, post-punk, indie rock, soul, country, folk, reggae, blues, and classic rock in the KFJC library. So the name of the special is Women Cover the Rolling Stones and More. Announcer's name is the host, and it will be on tomorrow night from 7 to 10 p.m. Over at the Niles Silent Film Museum, they've got their usual silent lineup for tonight. It's Grandma's Boy, which is Harold Lloyd. And before that's a couple of shorts, Felix Revolts, the Felix the Cat cartoon, and Granddad's Stepmom, that has it's small parts in it. Frank Beaujolais and William Desmond Taylor, who both went on to be directors themselves. So that all starts tonight at 7:30 over in the historic Niles neighborhood of Fremont, the Niles Film Museum. And, of course, silent films never are. Jeff Rappis is on the piano. You can go to nilesfilmmuseum.org to find out more. Here's some music from Sky Captain and the World of Tomorrow. KFJC is your source for sound. Broadcasting from Foothill College, this is KFJC, Los Altos Hills, the Norman Bates Memorial Soundtrack Show. And we have an interview right now with the two directors of an amazing documentary that's playing today at the Mendocino Film Festival, 7:30 at Crown Hall up in Mendocino, and tomorrow at 6:30 at the Vogue Theater in San Francisco as part of the San Francisco Doc Fest. The amazing documentary is called Amazing Live Sea Monkeys. And I'd like to welcome Aaron Schock and Mark Becker. Thank you for being here this morning.
Thank you so much,
Thanks
Robert.
so much.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, thank you. So what got you interested in sea monkeys to make a documentary about it?
I'll start it off, Aaron. So we read about this battle that was taking place in southern Maryland with Yolanda Signorelli. At the time, she was Yolanda Signorelli von Braunhut. She'd married the inventor of Amazing Live Sea Monkeys, Harold von Braunhut, back in late 60s, early 70s, and she'd become the backbone of the Sea Monkeys company alongside Harold. Harold passed away around 2003, and Yolanda was in a battle to get the Sea Monkeys back because she had a license deal with a toy company. There was some disagreement about the toy and ownership, and she found herself living without running water and electricity on her Sea Monkeys estate, and was struggling because the Sea Monkeys, in her view, were taken away from her. And so we heard about it, and we wanted to learn more, and that's where we started.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, and of course everybody knows sea monkeys. I mean, sea monkeys is both remarkable and audacious because it's really just brine shrimp, right?
Yeah, it is just brine shrimp, but there's more to it. Harold von Braunhut, who came up with the Sea Monkeys, had this idea of creating a novelty for children that gave them the sense that they were creating life itself. The original name of Sea Monkeys was Instant Life. It's still on the packaging. And but the problem with brine shrimp is that there's something you can buy at a pet store, is that they die very quickly. They're essentially fish food. But Harold toiled for years with a marine biologist to create this thing, this secret formula that would keep them nurtured and alive, and make them so that if you bought your sea monkeys and you followed the instructions, that you could actually maintain them for up to a year. And so they are brine shrimp, but there is this thing at the center of the novelty. It's kind of like the secret formula with Coke, but the secret formula with sea monkeys is to keep them alive, and that's that is the secret. And at the heart of the film is Yolanda trying to get the sea monkeys back, and she alone is the possessor of the secret formula itself, and it's the one thing that the company that she insists took them from her doesn't have. And so there's this animating dynamic between this company who's trying to sell her sea monkeys, but she's got the secret formula, and she's withholding it until she gets the sea monkeys back. So there's something quite special. They are brine shrimp, but there's something more to them.
So, and that is a real interesting part of it, because that she had just licensed it to another company, but she was the one that was providing the secret sauce, so to speak, because she didn't share her formula with anybody, and it was it's definitely sort of the small guy versus the big guy kind of lawsuit, because the toy company that was licensing it knew that she couldn't last, so they were just, trying to have her spend all her money, and she was living without power and without water.
Yeah, she actually doesn't just keep the secret formula to in legal terms. She actually is like the brewer of the secret formula. She literally makes it from various components, and she creates the little packets that people buy, with or without the plastic tanks, and that's part of the magic of sea monkeys. And in her mentality, this was, like a sacred aspect of her work, and so for it to be taken away goes beyond anything about a product per se. But it's she's the mother of the sea monkeys, and the film is very much about her trying to regain that motherhood.
Well, what's interesting is that there's just a pack of colorful characters that you show in this documentary. Yolanda was an actress and a model. She was in a Doris Wishman film, as well as a number of very well, like Assignment Female, Venus in Furs, Death of a Nymphet. So these we'll call them specialty movies. But she has a remarkable personality, and on this the sea monkeys farm that she lives on, it's sort of like, she's feeding the animals, all the wild animals, that she's just kind of taking care of everybody else.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when Mark and I first met Yolanda, after a series of conversations on the phone about wanting to meet her and possibly telling her story, we went down, and I know it sounds maybe on paper a little kooky, she's living without water and electricity and fighting this crazy battle, and she's on this farm and feeding animals. But what we found was someone who was incredibly, ethical. She has a nature preserve, and in fact, all the sea monkeys' money that she made would go into her nature preserve, and that's what she cares about, most. And also, Yolanda, and this is for it's documentary filmmakers, when you find a subject as someone who's so determined, I mean, we're talking about a David and Goliath battle, but Yolanda had other options. She could have just sold the sea monkeys. She could have sold, her farm for millions of dollars to developers, but she's that rare person who's incredibly determined to do what she thinks is right. That's something that's, really inspired Mark and I when we met her. Is this wasn't just a cookie lady who used to be in B movies, but this is a story of a woman who, over the course of her life, worked in what we call kind of exploitation films as someone in her late teens, and then, moved up within the, marrying Harold and this company, and the Sea Monkeys, became the CEO. And it's really a story of a woman kind of coming into her own. And when we enter her story, she's at this, critical moment where it may all be taken away from her. And her mettle is certainly tested, and we were there and we were present, to capture that, that battle, and her enduring, tenacity, to get the sea monkeys back, and, to self-realize herself, and bring them back out into the world.
So the Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, right, and there's some sort of, I think Aaron is expressing, there's some sort of narrative intrigue for us, and while we were making the film, we were learning, but there's some sort of, I don't know, connection, but there's always this connection between the past and the present, and you brought up the films that she was in, which, even to this day, she expresses that she learned from, and there was some enjoyment there. But there's an aspect one can't help but think about in terms of exploitation films, where it's often about a woman being taken advantage of in some way. And she lives with that story, and she feels like she's experienced it in her 60s and 70s as well with their legal problems, where she, in her view, she was not given the credit she deserved for the work that she does. It was overlooked, and she's determined for that not to be something that's done at her expense, and the film tracks that.
So the documentary is called The Amazing Live Sea Monkeys, and it plays tonight as part of the Mendocino Film Festival at 7:30 p.m. in Crown Hall up in Mendocino, and then tomorrow, Sunday, at 6:30 p.m. at the Vogue Theater in San Francisco as part of the San Francisco Doc Fest. And you can find out more of the Doc Fest by going to sfdocfest2026.eventive.org. And we're speaking with the directors, Aaron Schock and Mark Becker on KFJC. You know, that documentaries are very difficult because you have to be very inventive to tell a story. And, you know, you can't just have a lot of talking heads, that you have to keep the audience engaged. And you do some real interesting things with distressed photographs and with animation. Talk a little bit about how the storytelling came together for this documentary.
Mm-hmm. Aaron, do you want to go, or? Yeah, sure. I mean, there's so many different elements that could go into a documentary. Mark and I are the kind of filmmakers who do maybe tend a little further away from the talking head kind of documentary. Of course, there are interviews in this film as well that we use that it's necessary. We also employ another technique. It's kind of the old school documentary technique that sometimes is called cinema verite, but basically it's kind of fly on the wall filmmaking where you don't really have an agenda, but you're spending a lot of time with your subjects, and in this case, Yolanda, and filming her as she's going about her life. We spend a lot of time with her, witnessing how she survives without water and electricity when she didn't have income from the sea monkeys. But then there are other elements. The other person in this story is her husband, Harold von Braunhut, and he was not a famous person. And so therefore, there was not a lot of, archival interviews with her, with him, very little of that kind of material that sometimes you see in documentaries about famous people, where there's a whole trove of that. And so we had to be inventive. And one of the ways that we were inventive, that you mentioned, is through the use of this kind of comic book technique, animation coupled with Harold's voice. And a little side note on that, just to give you an insight of like how documentary filmmakers work. We were looking for more, audio or visual sources of Harold, and we read an article in something called Planet X magazine, kind of a zine based here in California, with Scott Moon and Mr. Lobo, who are two people who are in the kind of alt world of culture, and they'd done an interview with Harold in the 90s, and we read an article and just called them up out of the blue and asked them if they had an audio recording from their phone interview with Harold. And in fact, they said they did. And after going through some storage facilities, came up with a couple of hours of interview tapes that we were able to use, and then marry that voice of Harold with working with a graphic novelist named Nick Bertozzi, who's very well known in his field, and having him do kind of comic book storytelling, like essentially creating a comic book of that scene that we wanted to illustrate, and combined Harold's voice with with the comic book images to come up essentially with a scene to tell part of the story. And so in documentary, you at times just have to be really resourceful and then creative in how you're going to tell your story. And so that's just one of the examples of one of the techniques that we use in the film.
Well, of course, Scott Moon and Mr. Lobo are well known to the KFJC audience because Scott Moon is one of the principals of the KFJC Psychotronic Film Festival, which has been going on for decades. And, of course, Mr. Lobo has been a co-host of some of the Psychotronics way back when, although he moved out to the East Coast and still doing some cinema insomnia stuff. So when I heard that, Eric Lobo, that's Mr. Lobo. I thought that was really great. That's perfect connection.
Oh my God, it's Robert. It's such a small world. I'll just a little side note is when we found this article and I saw Scott Moon is such a bit of an unusual name, and I'm from Sacramento, and it turns out that I remember Scott because he dated my sister in the 1970s, and so it gave me permission to reach out and say, "Hey, Scott, I haven't talked to you in 45 years. And by the way, I hear you've been involved in the Sea Monkeys story." So, it's a very small world indeed.
Well, that's cool. Well, another character that I wanted to talk about that is featured in the movie is Todd. Todd, who lives in Kansas, and he's sort of like the ultimate Sea Monkeys fan. And it's sometimes important how collectors and fanatics are the best people to save culture before they're thrown out or disappeared.
That's interesting. Todd was like a real find for us, and he's instrumental in the story in more than one way. And we felt so privileged actually to enter into his universe. Like Mr. Lobo, Todd was incredibly generous with us. You can feel that generosity in the film. We flew out to Missouri to spend time with him, and we definitely strained his patience over the course of several days. Filming with him, he thought, oh, maybe they'll come in for an interview. We're pretty, we're nice people, but we're pretty rigorous, and we want to learn what we can learn out of these shoots. But he's just been incredibly generous with us throughout, and he actually connects with the stories with the story in more ways that even comes through in the film itself. He even once, it's not in the film, but he even once worked for Sea Monkeys and had met Harold at some point. And spent some time with him. And so Todd, we're enormously grateful to have met, and he continues to be a presence in our lives.
Well, one of the things I think is really important about this movie is how things aren't always as they seem, so to speak. That you have Yolanda, who is like a big-bosomed model and appeared in a number of exploitation kind of films. When she and Harold married, they married at the Playboy Club on Valentine's Day, along with 16 other couples. And so just knowing that, you think one thing of her. But then at the same time, she says when you're helping others, whether people, animals, or the earth, it's just like you're going to be who you really are. So she just seems like the most sweetest and generous and open person that you can think of.
Absolutely. And I think, just stepping back in the film, again, there is really this theme of lightness and darkness in the film, and how you lead people who, Harold definitely had a dark side, and Yolanda was the person who was constantly pulling Harold to the light, and I think even in her own life, it's a story of a woman who becomes even more and more self-realized, knows herself, knows what she's battling for, knows what she's about, knows what she's going to stick up for, and she is just that character, that human, that person, and we really try to care. In some ways, she's our hero of the story, and we find her story, inspiring. And she had to make some very tough decisions in her life, even whether to stay with Harold when Harold kind of went down the rabbit hole of some things that weren't also so great, but to stick with him and to try to bring him from the dark side into the lightness. So it's definitely it's kind of a meta theme of the film, is seeing people grappling, with different aspects of human nature, and that as filmmakers, that's really kind of what we're interested in. Is I know this is a film about sea monkeys, and it sounds very specific, but it's really these larger themes that, as filmmakers, that we're really excited by and animate our work, and we hope the audiences walk away, talking about the film and thinking about these larger themes, not just the sea monkey story.
So how did you find the rhythm to this film? I mean, because what's interesting is that how you sort of unwrap different parts of the story as you go along, so that you're going along one way, and then, oh my gosh, this happened, and then, oh my gosh, this happened. That how did you find the rhythm to do the storytelling in a way to open things up in a way to really have people be astonished by the story?
I think that the answer to that is, first of all, it's a process. It isn't prepackaged. There's a learning experience during production. Learning even about Yolanda and her, the way she confronts challenges. That was something that we learned over the course of making the film. And just like that, how to unravel the story, like you said, in a way that offers surprises was something that we learned as we went. But the underlying mentality is that discovery is the discovery that we experienced is something that we wanted the audience to have. And so in the making of the film, rather than completely, overwhelming you with the number of ideas right at the start, we allowed you to think it's about something simple and then unwrap its complexity over time. And then ultimately, like a human life, it's about the past and present colliding. And so we were always driven by how do we connect Yolanda's past to her present? What are the themes that contribute to both, and how do they interact with each other? And so it entails a sort of complicated version of storytelling, but it allows the audience to feel discovery and to understand how a human becomes who they become.
It's also interesting how nice other people are to each other. I'm thinking of her friend Brian, who's an electrician who fixed things up for her to keep her warm in the winter. That there's Jimmy, who's the landscaper who formerly did some of the mixing for him, and they're not getting paid. They just like who she is and what she does, and it's also a nice story about how good people bring good people together.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad you saw that, Robert. It's Yolanda is kind of like on her nature preserve is kind of like the queen bee, and she has these people. She's I don't mean she's charismatic, not in a way that's like in a positive way. I think people get swept up in her idealism. She's fighting to maintain this nature preserve. She could have sold it, as I mentioned earlier, it's for millions of dollars, and she's like, nope, I'm going to stay here. I'm here for the animals. And so she's an inspiring human that brings other people around who are willing to keep helping her in her journey and stay with her. And so people will come and in their better selves, work without pay, knowing that they're on her side and what she stands for. So, and as filmmakers, we felt that too, working with Yolanda, and she stuck with us. It took us a long time to make this film, and she was very patient. So, the generosity kind of went in both directions in terms of our relationship with her.
So the documentary.
Yeah, generosity is.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say generosity is contagious, and I feel like that is very much a part of her life. And like Aaron said, it contributed to the way that we approach the story as well.
That's great. So the documentary is The Amazing Live Sea Monkeys. It plays tonight at the Mendocino Film Festival at Crown Hall at 7:30, and then tomorrow at 6:30 at the Vogue Theater in San Francisco as part of the San Francisco Doc Fest. And we have Aaron Schock and Mark Becker on the phone with us, and this is 89.7 KFJC. You can find out more about the San Francisco Doc Fest at sfdocfest2026.eventive.org. You can find out more about sea monkeys by going to the website sea-monkeys.com. And, I wanted to ask you that you had your premiere at South by Southwest, and what was the crowd's reaction when they saw the film?
Mark, you want to go?
Yeah, sure. You know what? It was a pretty wonderful premiere. As Aaron indicated earlier, there's a journey you take in making a documentary. It's like it's truly an impossible task. You're given, you have like we had great material, but there's just so much resourcefulness to make it work up to what's in your mind's eye. And for us, that was like, an incredible endeavor, and we wanted, to gain the pride also of all these participants that offered so much. You mentioned Todd and Yolanda, of course, and Jeanette, Harold's biological daughter, and all these people that were so generous to us. And we wanted an audience to feel that they'd seen something that, dealt in truths and wasn't a propaganda piece, and felt like, an honest reflection of life that made people think, that made people ask questions. And at South by Southwest, we really felt like the kind of dialogue we had with the audience was one where it continued past the screening itself into the Q&A and spilled out into the theater hallway. And Aaron and I felt like, okay, the 9 years on and off on this project to get it made and to something we could be proud of was worthwhile. And so it felt like a really great start, and we feel like we're sort of at the beginning of this whole journey in the distribution stage. And now that we're getting to show people the film around the country, and we're trying to we're looking forward to being able to just share it, all of this huge endeavor.
Well, it's a story of complicated people, and I think you do a good job of introducing their lives to the audience, and that it's both disturbing and inspiring. But hey, it's sea monkeys. So that the sea monkeys kind of brings everything together, and it's a remarkable film, and I didn't even realize until I saw your documentary that there was a live action Sea Monkeys television show that had been on for just one season.
Yes, I think, Mark, you'll correct me, but I think maybe in the 90s or at some period, apparently these are well-known people, the Cheeto brothers, who are kind of work in that sphere in television, TV shows for kids. And I think our understanding is that it really only lasted one season. It didn't actually make it into our film itself, and I don't think Harold or Yolanda had really much involvement. They allowed them to make this show. But it was one of the many discoveries that we had of the long tail of the brine shrimp of the sea monkeys, that so many different ways in which the sea monkeys got out in the world. We didn't know that sea monkeys, for example, were international. We found that they were in Germany and Argentina, and a big following in Argentina of all places. And so sea monkeys. And even when we've talked to people from abroad, everyone seems to know sea monkeys, that iconic aquatic nuclear family. The image of that, even if people didn't have sea monkeys, seems to have worked its way into the cultural consciousness.
Wow. Well, the film is Amazing Sea Monkeys. The documentary plays today at the Mendocino Film Festival at 7:30 p.m. at Crown Hall up in Mendocino, and then it plays tomorrow, Sunday, at 6:30 p.m. at the Vogue Theater in San Francisco as part of the SF Doc Fest. And so we've had Aaron Schock and Mark Becker on the phone with us. What's your favorite part about this movie, other than finally getting it out?
I think we have to say that, like, our experience is reflected in the film, and getting the privilege of spending time with people who surprise you, who move you, who it's like there's just only in the hard work of production, you bond with your subjects and with their plight. And this film, like, whenever I think about it, our drive down to where Yolanda lives in southern Maryland, and Aaron and I in Aaron's beat up car heading down to this like little exurb outside of Washington D.C. and landing at these wrought iron gates with the sea monkeys bent out of iron, that nuclear family that Aaron just referenced, and somebody letting us into the gate and driving down this path, and we see, we see all these things lying around. This is when Yolanda's life was in disarray, and we see comic books and posters from B movies from the past, and moldy cardboard boxes of sea monkeys and beakers in the grass, and we think we've entered a portal into the past, and it was this discovery, really, truly, that was a privilege, and that's my answer to you. What did we most enjoy about this? And it's that. Yeah.
How about what did you enjoy?
Yeah, I was just listening to Mark's description, and it just really reminded me of, and we went down there so many times to make this film, and just the privilege of, documentary filmmaking in general is it allows you to go and just, enter into so many different worlds. Mark's described very vividly the world of entering into, really what was we felt like it was a portal to the second half of the 20th century on a cultural level with all the things that Mark was just describing. So that was a privilege. Knowing Yolanda was a privilege. And Yolanda, even though the beginning of our production focused on her because she was really in the middle of this battle, and we had to make sure we were able to capture that, but we then soon went on this other journey, which was to kind of understand and discover, her husband, the inventor of the sea monkeys, Harold von Braunhut, and so kind of finding Harold required us to, meet journalists in the Pacific Northwest. His daughter, who really was on her own journey with dealing with Harold as a father, and people like Todd that you mentioned earlier. And it's just a very, a documentary that is hard work. It doesn't pay a lot, but what it does do is gives you this kind of excuse just to enter into so many worlds that you wouldn't enter otherwise. And and in this case, it was just all the people that we met, all the remarkable people that we met.
So the film Amazing Live Sea Monkeys plays tonight at 7:30 at Crown Hall as part of the Mendocino Film Festival, and tomorrow at 6:30 at the Vogue Theater in San Francisco as part of the SF Doc Fest. Aaron and Mark, thank you for being on KFJC. And I guess what we'll do is we'll go out with the television theme to the Amazing Sea Monkeys television show. So thanks so much. This is KFJC, your source for sound.
There's a great, big, beautiful tomorrow shining at the end of every day. There's a great, big, beautiful tomorrow, and tomorrow's just a dream away. Man has a dream, and that's the start. He follows his dream with mind and heart. When it becomes a reality, it's a dream come true for you and me. So there's a great, big, beautiful tomorrow shining at the end of every day. There's a great, big, beautiful tomorrow, just a dream away.
Once again, KFJC is pleased to bring you the month of mayhem, a whole month of specials for you. Here's some of what we've got coming up.
The Secret Showcase on Wednesday, Mayhem 27th from 2 to 5 p.m. Showcasing a band that has left an inspirational impression on your secret host and the music world.
Loudon Wainwright III, 6 decades of his life and his lyrics on Thursday, Mayhem 28th from 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. Hosted by Jimmy Skelter. Jazz Cat, the music of Gato Barbieri on Thursday, Mayhem 28th from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. Hosted by Max Level. Spotlight on this Argentinian saxophonist and his fiery tone.
On Saturday, Mayhem 30th from 2 to 6 a.m. we will bring you the Death and Resurrection Show. 4 hours of killing joke and related things. Hosted by Murdoch.
American Reggae, Virgin Islands, Roots and Culture. Saturday, Mayhem the 30th, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. Host Jeremiah Johnson, looking at reggae sounds from the U.S. Virgin Islands.
Psychorama Part 3, Saturday, Mayhem 30th, noon to 3 p.m. Join Carson Street as he plays the Bevis Fround, the Space Lords, and a whole lot more.
Metallum Mayhemio Part 5, Saturday, Mayhem 30th, 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. More hard rock, heavy metal history from the 1970s to today.
On Saturday, Mayhem 30th, from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m., Mr. S hosts 7-Inch Mayhem, playing 7-inch records from KFJC's collection.
Beyond Ghostbusters, the incredible career of Ray Parker Jr. Sunday, Mayhem 31st, midnight to 3 a.m. Lucky J on the Soul Patrol looks at the career of this singer, songwriter, and music producer.
Sunday, Mayhem the 31st, 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. It's Paul Bley, innovative pianist and composer, with host David James.
Women cover the Rolling Stones and more. Announcer's Name makes her KFJC debut with a Mayhem special spotlighting women covering songs originally performed by men. That will be on Sunday, Mayhem 31st from 7 to 10 p.m.
This year, the month of Mayhem extends into June as host Dan Arbor and guest Phil Dirt present Britain Invades, a 2-part exploration of the influence of British music on American bands and producers. Part 1 will be on Wednesday, June 17th during the All British Music Show, 10 o'clock a.m. to 2 o'clock p.m. Britain Invades will continue the following week with Part 2 on Wednesday, June 24th from 10 o'clock a.m. to 2 o'clock p.m.
The Mayhem calendar is a presentation of KFJC's promotions department, and you can hear it on the air every day at 7:30, 11:30, and 3:30. For more information, check out kfjc.org.
I'll have a beer. What are you going to drink?
Okay, we'll cut that out.
Why? I like it.
That's Kurt Kinney music from his documentary Drive-In Movie Memories. This is 89.7 KFJC and the Norman Bates Memorial Soundtrack Show. We also heard the Sherman Brothers, There's a Big, Bright, Beautiful Tomorrow, and the television theme to the Amazing Sea Monkeys television show. So, hey, coming up in about 20 minutes, it is Psychorama 3. So Carson Strait is the third episode of his Psychorama specials. And Stoners and Stonettes are going to enjoy it today. He's going to be playing the Bevis Fran, All Them Witches, Zone 6, the Space Lords, and a whole lot more. So it's going to be a real blast of psychedelic music. So you'll be able to just cool out, chill out, and tune in from noon until 3 today. Carson Street with Psychorama 3. Well, let's, how about this, you keep in the Sea Monkeys kind of thing. Here is another interesting movie that William Powell was in. It's called Mr. Peabody and the Mermaid. And it's one of those things where Mr. Powell comes across a mermaid, and nobody believes him. They all think he's nuts. But it puts a spring in his step and a smile on his face. So you can't beat that, can you? So here's music from Mr. Powell and the Mermaid. Music by Robert Emmett Dolan on KFJC, your source for sound. Man or Astro Man doing Mermaid Love from the movie Psycho Beach Party. This is 89.7 KFJC and the Norman Bates Memorial Soundtrack Show. I'm your host, Robert Emmett. We also heard Mr. Peabody and the Mermaid from the movie the same name. So what's happening at the Stanford Theater? They're finishing out their Hitchcock Master of Suspense retrospective this weekend with Psycho and Frenzy. It's a great double bill, actually, Psycho and Frenzy, today and tomorrow. And then they're starting their summer festival Wednesday with The Big Sleep and To Have and Have Not. So, boy, you can't beat that, can you? Psycho and Frenzy. Stanford Theater, located on University Avenue, downtown Palo Alto, big marquee. Get yourself an advanced degree in cinema by attending Stanford Theater. You can go to stanfordtheater.org to find out more. stanfordtheater.org.
It's intermission time, folks, and that means it's time for a tasty snack.
It's so good hot. It's so good cold.
It hits the spot with young and old.
So come and get it, everybody. It's time to drink your...
The incredibly strange creatures who stopped living and became mixed-up zombies.
You don't have to worry about missing any part of the show because our announcer will let you know 3 minutes before the show starts again.
The mightiest monsters of all time, King Kong, Mammoth, Unconquerable versus Godzilla, released from an icy tomb to pulverize a panic-stricken world. King Kong, Godzilla.
The incredibly strange creatures who stopped living and became mixed-up zombies.
Nothing you have ever seen, nothing you have ever felt could prepare you for this colossus of entertainment. Spectacular, unbelievable, the world's mightiest monsters in the battle of the century.
How about a stroll over to the refreshment counter for a delicious bite to eat?
I say there are things better left unsolved.
Who knows what waits for us in nature's no man's land?
Impossible, unbelievable, fantastic, but I tell you it could happen. It could happen. It could happen.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Delicious things to eat.
The popcorn can't be beat.
World's first monster musical.
See you over at the refreshment counter.
Please, Spock, do me a favor, and don't say it's fascinating. No. But it is interesting.
Supercar, with beauty and grace, fast as can be, watch it flying through the air. It travels in space or under the sea, and it can journey anywhere. Supercar, supercar, it travels on land or roams the skies, through the heavens' mighty range. It's Mercury man, and everyone cries, it's the marvel of the age. Supercar, supercar, supercar!
Well, Mickey Sam's are in the hostage position, so it's time to bid adieu to another edition of the Norman Bates Memorial Soundtrack Show. Get out and do some stuff this weekend. All sorts of great things happening. There's movies, there's music, there's museums. Even if all you do is get together with your friends and discuss the issues of the day, make sure you take advantage of everything that's available to us right here, right in our own backyard. Broadcasting from Foothill College, this is KFJC, Los Altos Hills. Coming up next is Carson Street with a special, his Psychorama Part 3. And until next week, this is Robert Emmett saying, be singing.
King Kong. And if you can hear me, then throw up. Give me a sign and I'll throw a stick, bring it back, roll up and down. You taught me and listen. Thanks, Mom. And if you can hear me, then throw up. Give me a sign, throw a stick, you bring it back, roll over and die. You taught me a lesson, Mama. Thanks, Mom!
Sake. Would I lie to you? Here, smell it. That a boy. From now on, I'm feeding you everything Rival. Because when it comes to cooking for dogs, Rival has no rival.
Now I'd like to show you something important.
This is a picture of the most exciting value in cars today. This is it. The 57 DeSoto with a new low price. This year's DeSoto was way ahead of our competitors. And yet, DeSoto prices start right above the lowest. It's a big car with big car comfort and big car beauty that our competitors will be imitating 2 or 3 years from now. It's low. Lower than any of our competitors. But it's got as much or more room inside as any of the cars that are much taller. And plenty of road clearance, too. It's really got power and terrific performance. And that new torsion air ride is so smooth, you'll find it hard to believe. Then there's new triple-range push-button driving. 1 or 2 cars are imitating that now, and others will follow, but this is by far the best. Now, I'm not telling you to run right out and buy a DeSoto on my recommendation, but I believe you'll be a wiser automobile buyer if you'll drive this car. See what it has to offer, then price it. And I think you'll be surprised, because this year DeSoto prices start just above the lowest. Drive a DeSoto before you decide.
Pierre, fini de manger?
Oui, maman.
Va te brosser tes dents avec Gleam.
Non, maman.
Allez, allez.
Hé, Pierre. Bonjour, Claude. Hé, tu as inspiration sur mon vélo? Oh, oui. Allez, viens.
Pierre! Pierre, reviens ici. Tu n'as pas brossé avec Gleam.
Yes, in Quebec, as in your own town, brushing your teeth after every meal is a problem. And if you can't brush after every meal, brush often and use Gleam.
Between brushings, food particles and bacteria form a harmful deposit like this on your teeth. Dentists call it plaque. Proper brushing with Gleam removes most of this harmful plaque and helps prevent its buildup during the day.
Bon garçon, tu te brosses les dents après le dîner.
Oui, maman. Avec Gleam.
Brush often, even if you can't brush after every meal, and always use Gleam.
Hi, big man. Keeping our day? Good, because I've got real news about a fantastic new water-active hairdressing. New Groom and Clean. For men. Grooms and cleans with every combing. No alcohol, no greasy cream. It's the crystal clear water-active hairdressing. So just wet combing helps clean away dirt and dandruff. Prevent grease buildup. Watch, you skeptic. Put a lead-in cream and Groom and Clean in clear water. New Groom and Clean is water-active, mixes with water. Cream leaves grease that builds up, collects dirt and dandruff. See? But Groom and Clean helps prevent grease buildup, here and on your hair. So you stay neat, groomed, and clean. Fantastic.